What's up, my dear brothers and sisters? I hope you are having a fantastic day. We are continuing on with our timeline series of the end times as we are countdowning to eternity, basically. And of course, we've already talked about a bunch of things. We went over the timeline itself a few days ago. Then we focused in on the rapture. After that, we spent some time talking about the final Antichrist and the beginning of the 70th week of Daniel. Now we are going to talk about what the Bible calls Jacob's trouble, the great tribulation. This is the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. Now, I want to simply say this. You don't want to be there, okay? You want to be in the raptured crowd. You want to be a person who has given your life to Jesus Christ, and thus you are not numbered amongst this crowd of people that are going to suffer immensely. You do not want to be a part of that. Believe me, I promise you, you don't want to be a part of it. And by the way, if you're Jewish and you're watching this and you think, well, that'll be no big deal. If everything you're saying is true, then I'll have my opportunity to get right with God then. You don't want to wait till then. You want to get it right now. Allow yourself to go through the easier route, which is being a part of the church and being raptured before you have to go through any of this nonsense, because there are no guarantees, and that is the ugly side of all of this. So understand that we want to be careful to think that we can just wait until the last possible moment, okay? Come to know Christ now, walk with him. It's very important. All right. So we've already talked about, if you've been watching the previous videos of the last few days, we've already talked about the timeline, we've talked about the rapture, we've talked about the Antichrist, the final Antichrist, what's going to happen at the beginning of the tribulation. We've gone over a lot of material. Now we get to the point where things get a bit ugly. We get to the 3.5 year mark where the Antichrist will set himself up in the temple and demand to be worshiped. Now, what's going to happen is the Jews are going to look at that. They're going to reject it and say, no way. We realize we made a huge mistake. Jesus is our Messiah. They're going to be great evangelists, but they are going to run from the fury of the Antichrist, who will seek to eliminate them. And of course, we know that the Antichrist, the final Antichrist, will demand that everybody take a mark, whether it be on the right hand or the forehead. The mark is 666. It's not a needle. It's not some kind of injection. There's nothing like that. It is a physical mark that'll be on the hand or the forehead. And one of the things that we've got to understand with respect to this mark is that the people who take it will take it knowing that they are doing it as an act of worship towards the Antichrist. Right now, some people say, well, I don't want to be deceived into that. Well, your brain will be so deceived, your mind and heart will be so deceived that you will gladly worship this Antichrist. And whoever takes on this mark of the beast has no hope. That's it. It's a wrap. They're part of the judgment. They will experience the same fate that the Antichrist himself will face. So he will set himself up in the temple. He'll demand to be worshiped. And by the way, for those of you that are Christians that are here listening to me right now and you're worried that you might be taking the mark of the beast if this happens or that happens, understand the vaccine is not the mark of the beast. Understand all of these things that we're talking about, they are not the mark of the beast. What the mark of the beast is a physical mark on the right hand or the forehead, and it'll be something that you knowingly do. And by the way, you won't even have the opportunity to accept the mark if you're a Christian, because you will have already been raptured at the bare minimum 3.5 years prior. I think a lot longer prior to that time, because there's a lot of interim time that goes on between the rapture and when the tribulation starts. But the bottom line is that you won't even be a part of it. So what he will do at this point is he will start this war. And anybody who seeks to come against him will be greatly reprimanded with death. By the way, this is when we see the introduction of the false prophet who will seek to legitimize this guy even more. And when I say introduction, I mean more of an introduction of him. He will have more of an effect than he has prior. And we're going to see some really, 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 really crazy, ugly things come into fruition. But we won't be a part of that because we will have received Christ. And that's the question that I would ask you. Have you received Christ? If you haven't, he's the greatest insurance policy against any of this. Because at that 3.5 year mark, when all wrath comes down and hell on earth is broken open, Satan himself is cast down back to the earth and not allowed to go back into heaven again. Think about that. He won't even have interaction with God in heaven. Think about how crazy of a situation that is. And by the way, a lot of people don't think that what I say is right. They actually think I'm making that stuff up. But you can actually read about this. This is very interesting. You can actually go to the book of Revelation, and you can read about this very thing happening. It's pretty amazing when you think about it, because Revelation makes it very, very clear. This is in Revelation chapter 12, by the way, and it's just amazing. You don't want to be a part of any of that, because listen, it's not going to be good. And the majority of the people that are on earth are not going to make it, right? So the whole goal is be ready for the rapture of the church. Get your life right with Christ, because what awaits isn't going to be good. All right? All right, guys, that's a wrap. We got all kinds of stuff there. Listen, if you want to know more about all the rapture, tribulation, end time stuff, you can go to all the videos that we've done for Countdown to Eternity. You can go to any of my Tom and James videos that we've done. As well, what you can do is you can go through any of my teachings through the prophetic books. You can go through Daniel. You can go through Revelation. I've got a lot of these great books, Thessalonians. I've already been teaching on them. You go to CalvaryChapelSignalHill.com and you can grab those all for free, or you can go to YouTube. I've got many of those videos that are there, all available for the taking. And by the way, pretty soon we're going to have a new podcast that has nothing but my Bible teachings on there that I think you're going to really love. All right. God bless you guys. Jesus is coming soon. You best be ready.